Karen thought the royal guards were just part of a tourist show until she stood in their way, smirking, unmoving, convinced they'd go around her. But when the guards marched forward without hesitation, she learned the hard way that tradition and discipline don't bow to entitlement. Here's what happened. But before we continue, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel. Elsewhere, at the same time, we bring you another remarkable display of royal guard valor that you won't want to miss. The sharp click of designer heels against ancient cobblestones announced Deborah Whitmore's presence before she rounded the corner of Buckingham Palace's eastern gate. Her meticulously maintained blonde hair and luxury athleisure wear marked her as someone who considered herself above the ordinary tourists gathered to witness the changing of the guard. "Excuse me," she barked, shouldering past an elderly couple who had been patiently waiting their turn for photos. "Some of us have places to be." Her designer handbag swung carelessly, nearly striking a child who quickly ducked behind his mother. "The queue starts back there, ma'am," a palace attendant politely informed her, gesturing to the orderly line of visitors. Deb's perfectly manicured hand cut through the air, dismissing his words before they could fully land. "Do you know who I am?" Her voice carried the entitled edge of someone who had never been told no. "I'm not standing in line like some common tourist. I have a lunch reservation at the Ritz in 40 minutes. The attendant maintained his professional composure. "I apologize, ma'am, but for security reasons, all visitors must—" "Security reasons?" Deb's laugh was sharp enough to draw stares. "For what? Those toy soldiers playing dress-up." She gestured dismissively toward the palace gates. "This whole thing is just a tourist trap anyway. I'm here to take a quick photo for my—" She caught herself, remembering she was too sophisticated for social media mentions. A young family who had traveled from Australia tried to edge past her, their excited children pointing at the palace guards in the distance. Debbie planted herself firmly in their path. "I wasn't finished here," she announced, as if the entire courtyard were her private photo studio. "Please, miss," the father began. "The children have been waiting all morning." "Well, they can wait a bit longer, can't they?" Deb's voice dripped with condescension. Honestly, people these days have no concept of proper etiquette. The irony of her statement was lost on no one but herself. In the distance, the first notes of martial music drifted across the palace grounds. The changing of the guard was about to begin, but Deborah Whitmore had already decided that centuries of tradition would have to bend to her schedule. Little did she know, she was about to learn a very different lesson about proper etiquette, one that would leave an impression far more lasting than any photograph. As the ceremonial music grew louder, tourists began shifting positions, their cameras ready to capture the time-honored tradition. Debbie, however, remained rooted in her chosen spot, now directly in the path where the guards would soon march. "Ma'am." A retired serviceman stepped forward, his blazer adorned with campaign medals that spoke of real service. "You'll need to move back. The guards will be coming through here shortly." "Oh, please," Debbie rolled her eyes, adjusting her designer sunglasses. "They can walk around me. I'm not moving until I get my perfect shot." She pulled out her phone, holding it at various angles while completely ignoring the growing concern around her. The veteran's weathered face tightened. "These aren't actors, ma'am. They're active duty soldiers performing their sworn duty. The path they march isn't just tradition. It's their assigned route under orders." "Under orders?" Debbie's laugh was sharp enough to make several children flinch. "Orders to march in funny hats? To stand still like statues, please." She waved her hand dismissively at his medals. "I suppose you used to play dress-up too." A ripple of disapproval moved through the crowd. The veteran's companion, another former serviceman, placed a steadying hand on his friend's shoulder. "Save your breath, John. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way." In the distance, the guards' precise footsteps could be heard approaching, their rhythmic march carrying the weight of centuries. Leading them was Guard James Windsor, his bearing perfect, his dedication evident in every measured step. Even from afar, there was something about his presence that made most tourists instinctively step back. something that spoke of real military experience behind the ceremonial uniform. "Last warning," a palace security officer called out, his tone urgent. "Please," a mother with 2 young children pleaded. "You're going to get hurt. They're not allowed to stop or change course." Debbie's response was to plant her feet more firmly, raising her phone higher. "Then they better learn some customer service skills. I'm not moving for anyone in a costume, no matter how fancy their little hats are." The drums grew louder, the marching more distinct. The crowd had pulled back, leaving Debbie isolated in a pocket of space that would soon be filled by advancing guards. The veteran shook his head slowly, recognition in his eyes. He'd seen this type of entitled behavior before, and he knew exactly how it would end. Guard Windsor's eyes, trained by years of service to assess situations instantly, had already registered the obstruction in their path, but his step never faltered. His bearing never changed. The formation moved forward with the inevitability of tradition itself, closing the distance between ceremony and consequences. "This is your final warning." The security officer's voice carried real urgency now. "Clear the path or you will be forcibly removed." "Try it," Debbie shot back, her stance becoming more defiant with each passing second. "I'd love to see you explain that to my lawyer." She raised her phone higher, completely oblivious to the fact that she was about to become an object lesson in respect, one that would be significantly more memorable than any photo she hoped to capture. The distance between Guard Windsor's unit and Debbie had shrunk to mere yards, yet she remained planted in their path, her phone held high with defiant determination. The rhythmic thunder of their boots against the ancient stones seemed to make the very air vibrate with authority. "Make way for the Queen's Guard!" The command rang out, clear and sharp across the courtyard. Still, Debbie stood her ground, a smirk playing across her lips as she watched the approaching formation through her phone screen. "Last chance," someone called from the crowd. "They're not going to stop." "Oh, please," Debbie called back without lowering her phone. "This isn't some military base. This is a tourist spot, and I'm a paying visitor." She raised her voice, directing it at the approaching guards. "You lot work for us, remember? The public. Time to learn some basic customer—" The collision, when it came, was precise and controlled, yet still forceful enough to send Debbie sprawling. Guard Windsor's shoulder barge, executed with military precision, struck her just hard enough to remove her from the formation's path. Her designer sunglasses went flying in one direction, her phone in another, as she landed unceremoniously on the cobblestones. But fate wasn't finished teaching its lesson. As the formation continued their unwavering march, Guard Windsor's boot came down squarely on Debbie's outstretched hand, the one she'd flung out to break her fall. The impact wasn't cruel or deliberate. It was simply the inevitable result of an immovable force encountering an object that refused to move. Her scream of outrage and pain shattered the ceremonial atmosphere. "You broke my hand!" She scrambled to her knees, cradling her injured hand against her chest. "Did everyone see that? He assaulted me! That thug deliberately attacked me!" The guards marched on, their formation unbroken, their discipline unwavering. Gwyn's eyes remained fixed forward, his bearing as perfect as if nothing had occurred. The only evidence of the incident was a slight scuff on his otherwise immaculate boot. "How dare you!" Debbie struggled to her feet, her designer outfit now bearing the marks of her encounter with the courtyard stones. "Stop right now! I'm talking to you!" Her voice rose to a shriek as the formation continued its precise march, completely ignoring her existence. "Do you know who my husband is? I'll have your job for this!" The veteran who had warned her earlier stepped forward, offering a steadying hand, which she angrily slapped away. "Don't touch me! I want the police! I want names! I want badges!" Her face had turned an alarming shade of red, matching the guards' uniforms. "That man attacked me! He used excessive force! I could have been killed!" "Ma'am," the palace security officer approached, his tone professionally neutral despite having witnessed her ignore multiple warnings. "You were advised repeatedly to clear the path. The Queen's Guard are authorized to remove any obstacles in their assigned route." "Obstacles?" Debbie's voice reached a new pitch of indignation. "I am a tax-paying citizen. That man—" She pointed at Guard Windsor's retreating back. "Assaulted me. He stomped on my hand. I demand he be arrested immediately." A small crowd had gathered around her, though not with the sympathy she clearly expected. Several tourists who had captured the incident on their phones were shaking their heads. The veteran stood nearby, his face a mask of professional neutrality that did little to hide his lack of surprise at the outcome. "I want his name," Debbie continued, her voice echoing off the palace walls. "James Windsor? Fine, I'll remember that. My husband's lawyers will make sure he never works in uniform again. I'll own this whole palace by the time we're done." The formation had reached their destination, executing a perfect turn with the precision that came from countless hours of drill practice. Guard Windsor stood at his new post, his bearing perfect, his dedication to duty unshaken by the minor disturbance behind him. "Ma'am," the security officer tried again. "If you'd like to file a formal complaint, we can—" "Complaint?" Debbie snatched up her fallen phone, checking it frantically for damage. "I'm going to do more than complain. I'm going to sue. I'm going to have the media here. Everyone will know how these thugs in fancy dress treat innocent women." She jabbed a finger toward Guard Windsor. "That man is a menace. He's dangerous. He should be in prison, not playing soldier at a tourist attraction." The veteran exchanged glances with his companion, both men recognizing the familiar pattern of entitled behavior meeting immovable authority. They had seen it before. Civilian arrogance colliding with military discipline, always with the same result. "The police have been called, ma'am," the security officer informed her, his tone making it unclear whether this was for her benefit or because of her behavior. "They'll be here shortly to take your statement." He paused, choosing his next words carefully, "and to discuss the matter of interfering with the Queen's Guard in the performance of their duties." "Interfering?" Debbie's voice reached a pitch that made nearby pigeons take flight. "They interfered with me. That thug—" She jabbed a finger toward Guard Windsor's post. "Assaulted me. Look at my hand." She thrust her reddened fingers toward the security officer's face. "This is assault, battery, excessive use of force." Two police officers had arrived on scene, their expressions suggesting they dealt with similar situations before the female officer stepped forward, notebook in hand. "Ma'am, I'm PC Sarah Redis. Can you please lower your voice and explain what happened?" "What happened?" Debbie's laugh was borderline hysterical. "I'll tell you exactly what happened. Your precious guard attacked an innocent woman. He body-slammed me to the ground and then stomped on my hand. I want him arrested immediately." The male officer, P.C. Thompson, was already speaking with witnesses. The veteran and his companion provided their accounts, along with several tourists who had captured the entire incident. Their statements painted a markedly different picture than Deb's version of events. "Ma'am," P.C. Mitchell tried again, "multiple witnesses state you were warned repeatedly to clear the ceremonial path." "Oh, ceremonial path," Debbie spat the words like they were poison. "This isn't some military zone. This is a tourist attraction. I paid good money to visit this overrated palace, and that man—" Another angry gesture toward Guard Windsor. "Thinks he can assault me because of some ridiculous tradition." She clutched her phone, injured hand shaking with rage. "I've got lawyers on speed dial. When I'm done, that guard will be lucky to work at a mall." P.C. Thompson returned, notepad full. "Mrs. Whitmore, multiple witnesses say you were warned at least 6 times to clear the path the guard acted within protocol." "Protocol? I'm not an obstacle. I'm a paying visitor," Debbie snapped. "They're glorified tourist attractions in silly hats." "They are soldiers, ma'am," the veteran said quietly. "Active duty, under orders." P.C. Mitchell stayed calm. "We will not be arresting Guard Windsor, but we do need to discuss your actions today." "My actions? I was assaulted!" Debbie shrieked, pointing to the dirt on her designer outfit. "This costs more than he makes in a month. I demand compensation." The sharp rhythm of boots on stone cut through her rant. Guard Captain Roberts approached, every line of his posture radiating authority. "Mrs. Whitmore," he said, "I've been briefed. My guard acted exactly as trained when you refused to clear a designated military route. He body-checked me, stomped on my hand, she cried. The Queen's Guard are combat-trained soldiers, Roberts replied. Their ceremonial role does not lessen their authority. Interfering with them is a criminal offense. You can't be serious, she scoffed. This isn't a dictatorship. This is a working royal residence and military installation, he said evenly. Guard Windsor served 2 tours in Afghanistan before this posting. P.C. Mitchell stepped forward. Right then, Mrs. Whitmore, we'll need you to accompany us to the station. You wouldn't dare, she breathed, paling as the handcuffs appeared. Surrounded by silent tourists and unblinking soldiers, Debbie finally realized the truth.